This week in gaming, Ubisoft is looking for love. Game Informer rises from the dead, and Silent Hill is finally coming to Japan. Because this is the Nerd Cave News, and I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined by my good friend and co-host, Derek Daniel. Derek, how's it going, my man?
It's going pretty well, man. I'll say it's getting a little cooler up here. I think it's going to be the last cold snap up here in central Alabama before it turns to mid hot, and it's not going to be hot yet. That'll be come May. But the weather's good. And I'll say it's been a good week. I finally got my car back. I don't remember if I told you this or not, but my car's been having problems. Finally, I was just like, all right, let's just take it to get it worked on. Paid more than I wanted to, but they finally called me the other day and was like, hey, we're done with your car. And I'm like, perfect. So I went to go pick her up yesterday and running like it never had a problem with, which I mean, it shouldn't have a problem considering how much I spent, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just glad to have my own car back.
Well, I'm glad it's back. I'm glad that you're able to cruise around in your car. Amy says the boys are back in town.
Boys are back in town.
We're back, guys. This week has been interesting. It's been a lot of stuff, but we're here. It's Nerd Cave News Night. I'm looking forward to it. Derek, just a little bit of housekeeping for everybody here. Saturday is the Eat Sleep Anime.
First one of the year.
It's not behind a paywall this time. You can watch it here on this channel for free. We're going to be going live. I know I had said 3 p.m., but we've had some change of plans. We're going to be going live at 6 p.m.
Okay.
And it's going to be a great time. We're going to be chatting all about anime, all the stuff we've been watching. We've got a lot of cool stuff planned for y'all. So
which has been a lot. I know we always kind of feel like we say that, but I feel like lately, since we had the last episode last year and then this one, we have watched a lot.
We have. I feel like just the amount of great anime that we've both been watching, it's like we got a ton to discuss. We got Freerun, we got Attack on Titan in there, Mob Psycho. It's going to be great.
And they're like, what again? Zach, you've already talked about it. Guess what? Your boy's watching it.
So we got a great amount of stuff to talk about. Guys, welcome over on the vertical stream. I see everybody jumping over there. Freerun was amazing. Me and Amy rolled credits on that last night. And the way that ends, chef's kiss. The way they ended that season, great. Yeah. Dude, I am super, super excited about it. Again, Eat Sleep Anime live this Saturday, 6 p.m. Central Time, right here on the Nerd Cave channel. So you don't want to miss that. If you like anime, you're going to want to be there. You're going to want to chat. You're going to want to be involved with all this because it's all good stuff. It's going to be great, great time. So come and be a part of that. But this is not an anime show, guys. No. As much as I want to talk about anime right now, because
there was a good chunk of 2023 before we started doing it, where we turned it into an anime show. But
we would talk about anime on the show for sure. We were trying to get people fired up to get us to
testing the waters to see if people wanted
the waters. So Derek, I have to ask, what you been playing?
So I spent most of my day getting my car, but Sunday I didn't, it was my other day off, didn't have anything prevalent to do. So I played a good chunk of Avowed again.
Ooh.
So I got through the first city. I'm in the next city now. The game just like again, the story is like staying pace, like it's keeping my interest, but it's really like the side quests and just like the exploration and the journey that you're going to explore this world. Like, I finished the bounties in the first town I'm in.
Yeah,
I've collected my second round of bounties, trying to go through and do those. But just the difference in like the first area I come upon in the second town, it has a person who's doing some experimenting, and it deals with like a certain, like, I don't know if they're a race, but they definitely are a type, like, how like spellcasters, mages, or spellcasters, warriors, like they're like more of like a class, I feel like, but they could also be a race of people, the animancers. I don't know how they classify them as, but It's like a whole city full of them. And
Okay.
the first person I come across is having this farm, and how they're using the labor to do the farming is very, very interesting. I'm just like, what is happening? This is a unique way,
Okay.
and I feel like that's going to take a turn. It hasn't yet, but what's a very interesting thing to stumble upon in my first soiree into the city. But learning more about my companions, because they, if you haven't noticed, like anytime I think it's always after like a dialogue interaction, like after a certain story mission has ended, that there's a little dialogue above there, like there's
Hmm.
left, and so you can only talk with them when you're at the party camp, and then you
Yep.
have like certain, like sometimes it doesn't result as like, oh, you made the right choice, or I don't agree with this, or like they just make
Yeah.
simple comments on your choices. But then like after certain story beats, they actually have a dialogue, because they may have said something in that conversation where it's like, okay, let's explore more of this, because you're learning more, like you're trying to piecemeal about Kai, and then this new party member that you gained, like he's not open at all. He's very
Hmm.
like, and anytime you try to get him open up, he's like, buzz off, I don't want to talk about it, don't put it here, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he'll give you some stuff that he's comfortable with saying, but he doesn't want to talk about his deep past. So I don't know if that'll play in down the road, or what have you. So definitely, it's like I said, it's still intriguing me. It still scratches that itch for me, like just to get me coming back to keep playing it over and over again. So
Yeah.
and like I said, the more like, I think I needed a game, like Ghost of Tsushima did this, but after like replaying it, you kind of know where a lot of the beats are, and like
Yes.
what the formula to it. Avowed doesn't really have like the markers. You know what I mean? Like they'll have, like, if you unlock a side quest or bounty, like they'll have
Hmm.
the markers on the map, but they really don't like have like markers of like interest unless it's on your mini map. Like you can pick up foliage, you have like a body to pick, or loot
Yeah.
from, what have you. But just the exploration and stumbling upon things, and just like, all right, what's this over here on this hill, and it's like, oh, you found like a spider layer or whatever. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
that's intriguing. So I think just the way they introduce, or they have the exploration where you don't always know what you're running into, I think is different, and it, like, that intrigues me a lot.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because exploration in a lot of RPGs, it's like, okay, go to this town, blah 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 blah. But my most fond memories of playing Skyrim was just running around the countryside and finding random stuff. And Avowed, the little bit, I've played, probably 6 hours of it
Mhm.
so far, not as much as you, but finding like this weird cavern cave thing, and then like, oh well, it has like this back entrance as well, and you do all of this
Yeah.
kind of stuff, and it's like, okay, that's pretty interesting, that's different. And like having that in the game does make it really appealing to just involve yourself in the world,
Yeah.
and
Rather than just like, all right, here's like a bunch of check marks. Which one do I want to go to first?
yeah, it's not a Ubisoft, collectathon, but it does feel a little bit more lived in than like a Breath of the Wild, because
Correct.
Breath of the Wild, like you could explore a lot, but it felt like it was empty a lot of the time, as it was just, lots of hills, lots of plains.
Well, I mean, that's how Ubisoft games, like, even though they are a bunch of collectathon checkbox stuff, like the world, like, especially, was it from like 2019, 2020 on, pretty much that's what they became, is just a bunch of empty worlds where it's just like, all right, I'm just, nothing happens until you get to that check mark.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, I played something on Tuesday. I don't know if you saw it or not, but
Mm-mm.
I played solo leveling Arise.
Oh, it's the mobile game, right?
Yeah, it's the mobile game,
Yeah.
but you can play it on your computer as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So I was just checking it out. I played a little bit of it on my phone back when I first started watching the show, or
Yeah.
first finished the first season or whatever. And I was like, okay, I want to jump back in, because I was playing on like the backbone.
Right.
It was fun, but it wasn't the full experience. But they've got the full voice cast of the like American dub and
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
I'm sure like if you picked like whatever country you were in, you would also get that as well.
Right.
Very microtransaction-y, so
Oh, of
many
course.
flipping like
Well,
just
I mean,
places.
your new lease on life with Pokemon TCG, that should be not a problem for you now, right?
Well, I canceled my thing with that. So
What?
yeah, I haven't been playing as much. So I was like, why am I giving $9 a month to these people and when I can
I'm
save that money?
surprised you were hot and heavy with that thing.
I
Like
was hot and heavy on
you
dude.
were courting to marry.
I think it's like if they bring in like Gen 2, Gen 3, like Pokemon that I know,
Yeah.
I'm there. But as soon as you bring in like stuff that I don't know, I'm like, get out of my lawn. Like I'm just like,
That's not my Pokemon.
yeah. But playing Arise, it's fun. Like it's not super in depth, but what I do think is cool is you get to play through like essentially the manhwa or the show, and it has like comic panels and all of this, and you get to experience the show, but you actually get to fight and all of that kind of stuff. So and you get to add hunters to your party so you can unlock different hunters and all of that. So far I've got Gino and Junhee and the guy with the one arm. I can't remember his name, Chinhul or something like that.
Something. It's been a minute.
You know the guy I'm talking about though, like
yeah.
the sword master.
Yeah, that was in the first. That was in the party in episode 1.
Yeah. So I've got those as like characters that you can play as. You can also do dungeons outside of the main
story
and everything, and that gives you resources, and you can play as Gino or Jinwoo, Gino. Oh my god, Genu, and you can also like you'll have like your party or whatever, but then there's some that you play just with your side party. So Gino is not there. So it makes it a little bit, it spices it up just a little bit and everything.
Well, and it makes it feel like all right, and it's a good way to make you or have you learn how to play with the other characters too, rather than just spam Genu, because he's going to be. I know you probably, pun intended, you're leveling him up throughout this game, but I mean, eventually he's going to be where he's like a broke character in the game. So it's like, all right, we got to balance this out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how I did it, but I literally I got something and I was able to buy like one of the weapons that he has later on. Yeah, like it has lightning attached to it and everything. And dude, I was just wrecking. I leveled it all the way up, and then I just went into a gate and I was just massacring everything.
One-shotting everything.
Literally, like it was it was great. And I was like, they shouldn't have let me buy this early. But it's fun. Like it's simple. But it is fun just to be able to go in and see the world and interact with it. I'm sure it's making money because gosh, they push it like nobody's business. But and with the show doing so well, but like even when I was playing, they're like, people were coming in. I didn't know that this was even out, or man, I love Solo Leveling. I got to go check this out. So a lot of people are going to be checking it out and everything, and I'm going to probably play some more because I had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, just exploring and everything. And so far, they're up to where the show is with the Jeju Island and everything.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know if they kept up with it in real time or they just added after like they would add new content after each season would drop.
I know they're in like real time, so it's like they're getting ready for like a big battle that's about to happen in the show. And everything. So I'm enjoying it. I'm going to be playing more of it, and that is what I have been playing, Derek. So guys, welcome to the stream. What's up, Michael? Hope you're doing well.
What up, Mike?
Guys, if you haven't already, smack the like button, share this with somebody that you love, share it with somebody that you hate too. You know, we're
they equal love in their life.
Yeah, we're equal opportunists here. You know, love, hate, whatever. Well, we'll welcome them to the fold. So it's time for the gaming discussion. First up tonight, Ubisoft is reportedly looking at Tencent as a possible investor to back a new venture housing its major IPs.
So Ubisoft is making moves. A Bloomberg report says that the Assassin's Creed publisher is trying to set up a new gaming group with investors, and Tencent might be in the mix. Supposedly, Ubisoft wants bids in by the end of March. The company hasn't said anything about it yet, just pointed Bloomberg to its last earnings call. Right now, Tencent owns almost 10% of Ubisoft, while the Guillemot family holds 14%. Back in October, Bloomberg reported that Yves Guillemot, his family, and Tencent were looking to take Ubisoft private. AJ Investments later accused them of tanking the company's stock to take control. Now, AJ Investments is calling Ubisoft out again. The firm, which has a minority stake, claims Ubisoft failed to disclose talks with EA and Microsoft about selling off major IPs. They're even planning a protest outside of Ubisoft's Paris headquarters, with CEO Jura Krupa calling the company quote, horribly mismanaged. Ubisoft struggles aren't just about ownership drama. Star Wars Outlaws underperformed both critically and commercially, sending share prices to their lowest in nearly a decade. Meanwhile, Assassin's Creed Shadows has been delayed multiple times, missing its original November 2024 launch and now aiming for March 20th, which is today. We both know that Tencent is pretty much not much better as far as the company. Like, they've done some, stupid practice deals as well, or business practices as well. And I know that, there's been talks about taking it private. There's been talks about selling it. I'm surprised that the Guillemot family only hold 14% of the company. That's significantly lower than I thought it would be. But the fact that Tencent owns practically 10% means it is feasible that they could just sell off the rest of their shares so Tencent becomes the majority owner. However, we know that Ubisoft needs to pretty much have an Activision and just pretty much revamp leadership and just pretty much have a fresh set of, some new blood at the top.
Yeah.
But do you think Tencent is that person?
Like, Tencent has had some success, some bigger successes. I'm thinking like PUBG and all of that, but I don't like the only way that this is going to happen. I don't think the Guillemot family is going to sell their shares. I think that they release more stock and Tencent will buy up that stock. So they're essentially diluting the value of each stock that's out there, which is going to cause a huge uproar for the stockholders that are out there. But if 14% is the majority, controlling majority, that's very interesting that it's that low. But I don't think that Tencent is going to, other than financially, I don't think it's going to fix the issues. It's a mindset issue. It's a leadership issue at this point, and it's pervasive. It's been happening for years at this point. And it's like every week we talk about Ubisoft right now. It's been like the last month or so. And this is not a good look for Shadows to be coming out today. And people are like having, seeing this. And then I don't know if you got into the quick hits, but the Prime Minister of Japan had to like come out and was like answering questions about Shadows.
Interesting. I didn't see that. No.
Yeah. So and this is like a cultural thing here that is an issue.
Right.
They had in the game where you could like destroy stuff in the shrines and temples.
Oh, yeah, that's a big no-no.
Yeah. So Ubisoft has a patch or whatever that's going to be coming out, but the Prime Minister was like, yeah, this is not right. We're having to staff up to make sure that people aren't coming to the shrines and all of this and destroying stuff. This is like a thing that's spiritual locations and all of that. And it's like, you wouldn't do that.
No.
Like, you think like Ghost of Tsushima, there's temples and all of that. You couldn't go in there and destroy stuff.
No.
You know what I mean?
There was literally a side quest in Tsushima where they destroyed a bunch of the fox temples, and Gene had to go and get revenge for that, because he's like, I can't have you going around just destroying. It's sacred to our country.
Yeah, and it's like that should have never been a problem. Like, and I know like they always put in the very beginning of any Assassin's Creed game when you load it up, it's like, this is made by a diverse group of people from different religions, walks of life, so all of this kind of stuff. But it's like, regardless if you practice that faith or not, or believe those things or not, or from Japan or not, you should
You have to
still
stay true to
respect.
the source material.
Yeah, you should still pay respect. And now Japan's having to, incur, cost because they're having to protect landmarks
Yeah.
because of what Ubisoft is doing. Hopefully nobody is going to go and do that because they played in a
No.
video game, but there's always some crazy person out there. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
There's delinquents everywhere.
There are, but back to the topic that we're talking about here. I don't think Tencent is going to be the saving grace. Like, just because you get an influx of cash doesn't mean that you fix the problem. It
No.
doesn't mean
You're
that
just
you
putting a
fix the
band-aid.
stupid. Yeah, it's like you're putting lipstick on a pig right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still a pig. You can polish a turd till it's gold, but guess what? It's a
Still
golden
smells like a
turd.
one.
Yeah, it still smells like crap. So I will Tencent bite? I don't know. Are they seeing this as an opportunity to buy out Ubisoft completely?
Maybe.
Who's to say that Tencent doesn't, twist the knife and
Right.
get it all? And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that Tencent is shady or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But it's
If they smell blood in the water, they could go big.
yeah, like I'd be looking out for that if I was on, on the other side. I'd be like, we could have it all. We could have all
Yeah.
the IPs. We could have all of this and actually run this better. That's just my thought.
Right. No, I agree. I think Tencent might bite, but if Ubisoft is even hinting at, or if they're looking at the financials and they keep dipping to where Ubisoft has to sell off the whole company, Tencent could definitely push the envelope and basically like, all right, well, now the stakes have raised. Your stocks continue to plummet. The value of your company it keeps sinking down into the mud hole you've created. Now we just want to buy the whole thing.
Yeah, and then you buy it for pennies on the dollar. It's just
Buy low, sell high.
yeah, exactly. So only time will tell, but I feel like the Guillemot family has put themselves in this situation. No one else has.
No.
Their poor leadership. So let's move on to story number 2 tonight. Konami has revealed that Silent Hill F is bringing the franchise to Japan for the very first time, and we have a trailer to check out.
And there's a 3.5 minute trailer, so strap in, guys. And it's a horror game, so hide your kids. Girl, you got something on your back.
Going that
Forte.
spoopy.
I know.
It does look like a Forte.
Torrygate. Man, that looks good.
Mm-hmm. It's about to get spoopy, y'all.
It is. That fog rolling in. Never good.
Never good. Oh,
Ew.
God. That's a hand. That was a hand, y'all. If
You
you're
want to reach out
watching
and
on
touch
the
her.
if you're watching on vertical, go to the horizontal stream so you can see everything we're watching. Oh, God.
Oh.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Oh. You know, when you see red spider lilies, that means death.
yeah. Ooh.
Almost got you, girl.
Girl ain't looking too good. You know what I mean?
Oh, it ain't no dream. Trust me.
Oh,
It's a nightmare.
that creepy.
Oh boy.
Baby dolls?
Yep.
No. Mm-mm.
All right, Resident Evil.
Yeah, I was literally thinking that 7. Man,
Kind of wanted to see a little bit of gameplay, but
same, dude. Is the Ninetales gonna show up? What are they about to do?
whoa, hold on. No.
Dog. Nah. Nope.
So Zach, this is definitely a game for you, right?
Ooh, child. Not like
Man, come on, it's a Tuesday stream for sure.
does it look good? Yes, it does. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying that it doesn't look good, but
Can old Zach still take it with his ticker? No.
no, and that's not a me game at this point. But dude, it does, like they have like bringing it to Japan. I'm curious. Like, of course, we'll probably get some sort of dub or whatever with it. But like having the vibe, it's like a little village kind of thing. There's so many interesting monsters that you can pull from, the Japanese, all
like
of those,
like spiders, like just whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Like Japan is, because I mean they are rife. Like especially if you watch certain anime, like especially like I know that one episode in season 2 of Mob Psycho, like all the urban legends that that are in Japan, depending on where you live in the country. So they have plenty to pull from. Because I know they didn't really mention the setting. So I mean, but again, like there's rife with urban legends everywhere, just like in the U.S.
Yeah, so I think this will be really cool. I think there will be a lot of things to. Like, I know we're getting, Silent Hill, like, remake and all of that, or it's already come out. I don't really remember when
it came out last year.
So, but it's like, this is a good way to revitalize the genre, like, revitalize, not the genre, but the title, and make it
the title.
Yeah, and just, like, make sure that it lives on past, the old heads that used to play Silent Hill back in the day, because I hadn't really got that, and them doing that, I think, will be really good, just like, Resident Evil did with 7, where it just kind of took it and made it its own, and now it's just, pumping on all cylinders and everything. So I'm looking forward to it. Anything else you want to add to it?
No, I'm about to say it definitely looks interesting. It kind of, if it was like a 1.5 minute teaser trailer, I could understand not getting a date, but to be delve in a 3.5 minute video and not to even get a release window is kind of weird. Makes me wonder if it's still going to hit this year or not. But I mean, the fact that we're getting it in March and not like say a June, July makes me think it'll still launch later this year. We'll probably get it at Summer Game Fest, the release date.
Yeah, we'll get, if it's coming out this year, we'll get the release date and we'll get gameplay.
Yeah,
because we've seen this is like the second or third trailer.
Yeah, I think it's only the second one from what I could tell. Like they had the announcement trailer last year, and then during like when they announced Silent Hill 2 remake as well. I think it was like they called it the Silent Hill Transmission, whatever it is. So and then Silent Hill 2's out. I think we'll just, this is the second trailer. We got more of a deep dive. We saw in-engine stuff like we saw like with the cutscenes, but I want to see gameplay, like how it differs from the core franchise to see if they do anything a little bit different. But yeah, so only time will tell.
Well, guys, make sure to subscribe to the Nerd Cave news on podcast services of your choice. And of course, here on YouTube, which is the largest podcasting platform on the globe. It helps us out. It lets, YouTube know that, hey, this is good stuff. And we should send this to more people and everything. So go ahead, hit that like, hit that subscribe, all those good things. It helps us out, keeps the lights and the mics on. Let's move on, Derek. We got some Assassin's Creed news.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Shadow receives an action heavy cinematic launch trailer. And of course, today is the launch. And Derek, are you ready to watch this trailer?
Yeah, let's see what it can bring.
Oh, hold on. There we go.
Oh,
Oh, that was cool. Throwing the kunai through the
yeah, the window.
yeah. That's the promise whispered. All right, Derek. Did that make you want to get Assassin's Creed Shadows?
Here's the thing, because
You
I've
already
seen
bought
like
it.
no, I didn't. I didn't. I can definitively say I haven't. And I'll get to the reason in a minute. But the will to fight it off, the purchase off, has been great. But then again, I did spend a lot of money getting my car fixed, so
Yeah.
that's a good incentive to hold off
Yeah.
spending another $70 to buy a video game. But like all the screenshots, like some of the gameplay snippets they've been pushing up until launch day, have really intrigued me. I do know the reviews have been better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of Funny has said about it. I don't know if
I haven't
what way
watched.
that okay. I don't
I
know
know
which way they sway.
I know IGN gave it like an 8. I was kind of
Yeah.
surprised about that.
Yeah, same. That's what threw me off. Is like it's been so far. It seems like it's been better received than Star Wars Outlaws, which is a
Yeah.
good thing. Ubisoft needed somewhat of a victory considering the last 6 to 8 months that they've been going through.
True.
However, it's because like it's everything in my body says, "Oh, maybe I should give this a try. Maybe this is the Assassin's Creed that'll get me back into it." However, when I see the vistas, when I see the old school thing, I'm just every bone in my body just says, just wait for Ghost of Yote. Like had they not announced Yote last year, like it'd be one thing if we didn't know that Yote was a thing, and then it's
True.
another thing entirely that as of right now, it still could happen where Yote is coming out this year.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if Yote was still in the far distant future, like it wasn't even announced yet, and then I would probably be tempted to buy Shadows.
Mhm.
But after replaying Tsushima, going through playing through the Iki Island expansion, I need to finish it. But playing through that, and then knowing that Yote is presumably, like 6 months away, maybe not even that much.
Yeah.
I can wait. I can satisfy that itch with a known property and a known quantity that I know. Now, again, it could also come out and it could be utter garbage. You know what I mean?
You're talking about Yote?
Yeah, Yote. I'm just saying that I'm not saying it will, but I'm just saying like there is a possibility. There is somewhere in the universe that a version of Yote in some timeline, Yote could be bad.
Nah.
But it's highly unlikely.
Nah.
But crazier things have happened. But the fact that Yote, I will just wait to play a Japanese old school like samurai game that I know is a proven formula that will I will have more enjoyability with.
So let's say summer comes around,
Mm-hmm.
Summer Games Fest happens, and Yote gets a 2026 release date. Are you jumping on Shadows?
That would be the conundrum, right? Obviously, it would depend on what other games are launching the rest of 2025 that would
Yeah.
actually warrant my time more, and it would also depend on when they delay it. Because let's say it's like it's June, and they say, "Oh, it'll be coming like mid-January 2026." I would still be tempted to wait. Now, yes, would it be another 6 months of waiting? Yes, but if it's guaranteed to hit very beginning of 2026, I would wait. But if they just say, "Hey, it'll launch sometime in 2026," and because here would be my strategy: if they just said it's delayed to 2026, say nothing else, I would give it a few more months. Like wait till holiday hits. Like if what they've done the last few years is any indication, the September state of play, I would wait for them to definitively say. And
Yeah.
if a state of play happened in September, and they said it still gave no release date for Yote, I would then buy Shadows, because then it's like, all right, I don't know when. I know it's next year, don't know when. Let
Yeah.
me get something that will at least give me scratch that itch, because by then I'll have beaten Iki Island, all that kind of jazz. But now if they give a release date at the state of play and it's like first quarter of the year, like between January and March, I'll wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, for me, like it's not really moving the needle. Like if I
yeah,
wanted to play a samurai game at this moment, I would jump on replaying Ghost of Tsushima, or I'd go Rise of the Ronin.
yeah,
I'd go something different, because the formula of Assassin's Creed isn't like appealing to me in this day and age. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I would enjoy that. Or, if I was really a glutton for punishment, I would go play Neo again. You know,
true. That's a very good point.
it's like there are a lot of samurai games that are out there, and there are more, or could play Black Myth Wukong, which is not a samurai game, but it has that
Yeah,
kind of a
it's
flavor to it.
right. And also, it's like we forget that if Yote gets delayed, there's still a possibility in that this year we could see where wins meet.
Yeah.
So, and we both were intrigued by that game heavily. So
Oh yeah.
if Yote gets delayed and where wins meet comes out this year, I still won't buy Shadows. I'll just go ahead and buy that.
Yeah, I'm way more interested in where winds meet than shadows at all. So,
Right.
um, we'll see where the sales go on this. I saw some streamers playing it yesterday or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, cool. It didn't, I didn't really watch a lot of it, and it was just
Yeah.
like, okay, cool, you got a code or whatever, but only time will tell
Yeah.
if Shadows actually is good. Well, let's move to our last story of the evening, and that's not the right one. Derek's not on that one. I didn't set this up properly, apparently, guys. So that is the return of Game Informer.
What? So Game Informer might not be dead after all. Last year, GameStop shut it down, laid off the entire staff, and ended one of the last major gaming magazines in the US. But now something's brewing. On Blue Sky, the Game Informer account, silent since July, suddenly posted a short video. It showed the magazine's farewell message, followed by an arcade-style continue prompt. Then the screen cut to black, flashing a date, March 25th, which is only 5 days away. Looks like something's happening next week. Former staff, including director Brian Shea, started sharing the post, making it clear this isn't just some corporate revival from GameStop. Excuse me. Some even posted their own continue video screens with Game Informer in the background and the cursor moving to yes. All signs point to the original team coming back to bring the magazine back to life. The Verge reached out to GameStop and ex-Game Informer staff for confirmation. Shea wouldn't spill the details, but told people to watch social media. Given how often media jobs disappear without a comeback, this would be a rare win. We don't know exactly what's dropping on March 25th, but it sure looks like Game Informer is making a return with the right people at the helm. Zach, we might finally have hope. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, it would depend on how it comes back, and it depends.
Yeah.
Like, I think that ship has sailed for me. Like I haven't really been paying attention to the magazine since, even my last couple of years at GameStop. Like I would skim through the important parts, but I didn't. I Gone was the time that I read it cover to cover.
Yeah.
But this would be a major win because I know this was like it said, one of the last major video game publishing magazines in the United States, and I know a lot of people were intrigued by it. Like again, like my I've stated my issues with it before. I don't think some of their reviews were always the most honest, and some of their wording in their reviews would not line up with their score necessarily, both good and bad. Um, because there were some low scores that made it sound like it was a lot better than the score, and vice versa. But the fact remains that they always had the most diverse cover art.
Oh, the
In
art
any
was amazing.
Yeah, especially a lot of them, and like even the simplistic ones were fantastic. And then and then like just their coverage, like the cover story, like the little blurbs that you would see. It's like, all right, here's the main story. Like if it's a single player game, like these are the missions we played, but also it's like, oh, here are some mechanics, or like here's some like secret side quests in this world that you can find type thing. So it was always intriguing to read about these upcoming games, especially after like back in the day when E3 was a big thing, right?
Yep. Yep.
Getting more coverage. And like I always, like, one of my fondest memories was at post E3 was the article, like it was like the magazine or two after E3, where it would be the E3 Hot 50, where it was like a recap and like, oh, these are some of the things that we saw on the show floor or at other events that wasn't getting the coverage it deserved, but this is actually a game you need to actually pay attention to as well. So that was always something nice to see. And then like, the end of the year issue where it was like our review in gaming, like the best publishers, like our best game, our top 10 games. So it was always nice to see those um checkpoints of like saying like how the industry was doing throughout the year.
Yeah. And depending on how it comes back, hopefully this will not be a G4 situation, that it's
Right.
not just something that's a flash in the pan. And
Right.
there was a lot of reasons why that happened with G4 and everything. They overstaffed on the budget that
Yeah.
had. And when you take off the people that watch
Yeah.
your show, that's you're alienating yourself. So hopefully this will come back in a way where it actually serves the industry,
Yeah.
it serves the fans, and it's not. I'm wondering if GameStop is involved at all, if they
That's what I
bought the
was going to
right.
ask you, is like, did you do, because there was some things like listening to Kind of Funny this morning, there were some things thrown around. It's like, you got, like, basically you got to think that the Game Informer staff went to them and it's like, hey, you're obviously not going to use this
Yeah.
licensing at all. Why don't you give it, like, why don't we buy this from you? Like, you earn some cash flow from it, because
Yeah.
at this point, GameStop's just looking for any kind of cash flow to keep relevant. And it's like, hey, why don't we buy this from you and then we'll do something with it, because there's still a demand from people that want this property. I can't see them having a problem with it, but also being GameStop, I could see them wanting to monetize it and basically like, all right, well, we're going to bring it back, but we're still going to be like the shadow lords in the background. You know what I mean? It's like, we'll let
Yeah.
you run it, but we're still going to dictate how the money flows.
Well, and if they bought it, it could be structured in several different ways. It could be just a straight out buy,
Yeah.
because they're not going to use it, or it could be, okay, we're going to pay you X amount of dollars. Up front, we'll pay this amount. Let's just say $500,000.
Hmm.
But the total cost could be like 3 million, whatever. We're just
Yeah.
using numbers here. And a percentage of the revenue is going to go towards GameStop every month, the set
Yeah.
percentage, until that is paid off.
Yeah.
That way, Game Informer, like, it's a win-win for them. They're
Right.
getting, money that they're not even putting their neck out over. And if this new venture folds, guess what? The rights go right back to them.
Right.
And that would be the way to structure that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think this would be something that could be good to see, actually, a company come back. It's
Right. It's a,
kind of like,
like the article said, it's a rare win.
yeah, it's like when Tencent came around and bought Tango Gameworks.
Yeah.
Like, that was like out of nowhere that group came back to life after being closed. So it's nice. It's a breath of fresh air after all the layoffs and everything.
And all the closures.
Yeah. So I'm excited for them. The 25th, which is only a few days away from here.
Yeah.
Next week we'll know and we'll be able to tell, report and see, hey, first issue is going to be this date. And, like that is exciting to see,
Yeah.
even if, past that, we don't read it, but it's exciting to see that there is something like that in the US still.
Right. And that was going to be my next question is like, I know I probably wouldn't like go back into it, but would you jump back into Game Informer depending on how they did their, like how they structured their magazine subscriptions? Like if they just went, would you be more enticed if they did digital only, like, or would you want that physical in your hand again?
Like I'm not as big on the physical. Like I got
Yeah.
way too much physical media as it
Yeah.
is. Like I do like physical. Like we literally have like 735 books. We scanned them all in this weekend.
Wow.
So it's like we love physical here, but I like news goes by so fast.
Correct.
And it's like I can get way more up to date stuff. I might, get the first issue and then we'll see. But it all really depends on price. And it's like
Correct.
having another subscription is kind of hard. So they've got to make it very, very enticing for anyone to like really pick up in that. But I do feel like after it being dead, the outcry, the people that were upset, I think there will be a big tick up for this. We'll have to see how long it goes, though. Like, does it have the staying power? So, yeah. And guys, if you enjoy this show, you can go support us over on Patreon because we're about to get into the Patreon quick hits. Now, if you don't know, Patreon quick hits are brought to you by our wonderful patrons. So go support the Nerd Cave, what you're watching right now, by getting your very own Nerd Cave membership and help us to continue to make awesome shows just like this one. You help keep the lights and the mics on. You help support a 1.5 person business here, guys. We make awesome content from Nerd Cave News, the streams where we're playing games on Tuesdays, and where we talk about anime on our anime show, Eat, Sleep, Anime. Guys, go support us. Pick a tier that fits best for you. And if you say, hey, Zach, I don't have the cash to throw at you, I want to say that's totally fine. That's totally fine. You can go pick up a free membership and you can see some of the cool stuff that we've got over there for our free members. So become part of the ship, part of the crew by going over to patreon.com/nerdcave. Again, that's patreon.com/nerdcave and support this awesome show. Now, it's time for the quick hits.
Starting off, Rainbow Six Siege X has been officially unveiled and will arrive on June 10th. Split Fiction surpassed 2 million copies sold in just 1 week. Rumor, Call of Duty 2025 Zombies mode to feature 6 round-based maps during its life cycle. Saber Interactive indicates Star Wars KOTOR remake is still in development. It's going to be like Beyond Good and Evil 2 at this point. It's just going to still be in the ethos, but nothing will ever come of it. God of War Ragnarok Dark Odyssey Collection was announced as a free update and inspired by the God of War working title and God of War 2 skin. And the nice thing about it is it's out today. Starfield adds PlayStation logo to its creation page, offering biggest hint yet at a PS5 version is coming. People Can Fly enters agreement with Sony to develop new game codenamed Project Delta based on a Sony IP. Pokemon TCG Pocket confirms changes to much loathed trading systems that they pretty much promise that they're coming ... eventually. Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster hits 5 million sales, bringing the Final Fantasy franchise now up to 200 million copies sold. Nintendo will sell loads of Switch 2 consoles at launch, regardless of price, predicts an analyst, and a June release date once again has been mentioned. Aloy actor Ashley Birch speaks out about leaked AI Aloy demo, saying, quote, I feel worried. Respawn's Star Wars strategy game has been confirmed for reveal on April 19th, which I believe is, I don't know if it's Star Wars Celebration or a Disney event, but it's one of those things that's coinciding. Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, reportedly inspired by Elden Ring regarding player freedom. Warhorse Studios has no plans to revisit Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, ruling out a remaster. 4A Games is working on the next Metro game and a new IP. They also go on to say the 2022 Russian invasion changed how new Metro story is going to be told. Excuse me. Leaker says Resident Evil 9 has been billed as a big reinvention of the series to the same level as what RE4 and RE7 did. Square Enix reportedly says Life is Strange Double Exposure was a large loss for the company. Star Wars Hunters announces shutdown just 9 months after launch, and with the Steam release appearing to be scrapped. Games may soon directly display your Discord friends list thanks to new social SDK. Joseph Ferris says EA has always been super good to Hazelight Studios. I mean, if I make critically acclaimed games and one of them winning Game of the Year, I would be nice to him too. Joseph Ferris also says Hazelight Studios is already working on its next project. No surprise there. Amazon has ordered 2 seasons for the God of War TV show, reveals one of the writers. Ark Lost Colony is the first major expansion for Ark Survival Ascended and will be due out in November. Saber Interactive boss on Saints Row Demise saying, quote, "They were so expensive for what they were," end quote. Ongoing Battlefield Labs playtest reveals impressive destruction mechanics. Fatal Fury City of the Wolves second open beta has been confirmed for March 26th through the 31st. Baldur's Gate 3 director says single-player games aren't dead, they just have to be good. Claire Obscure Expedition 33's biggest inspirations include numerous PS1-era Final Fantasy games. Video game workers form first North American industry-wide union with Communication Workers of America. Steam accounted for more than half of Monster Hunter Wilds' total dollar sales in the US. There was once an idea for a Marvel gaming universe that would tie all the video games together like the MCU, but it never got funded. Deviation Games co-founder Jason Blundell has formed a new PlayStation first-party studio called Dark Outlaw Games. Split Fiction players conquer Secret Challenge Laser Hell, prompting Joseph Ferris to invite them for an early look at Hazelight's new game. Phil Spencer says Xbox fans will see more movie and TV show adaptations despite the failure of Halo. Razer says its new AI can make game development quicker and cheaper, but insists humans will still need to be involved.
Well, you know, who would have figured that?
Right.
The People Can Fly entering an agreement with Sony to develop a new game codename Project Delta based on a Sony IP. Here's my thought, Derek. Are you ready?
Okay. All right. Let's put the crazy Zach hat on.
SOCOM.
Oh,
because
that's good.
People Can Fly has worked with like the Coalition and Bulletstorm, all of that. SOCOM, dude, it's time. It is time.
It is time.
If Sony can get a foothold in some of the first-person shooter stuff, because that's what they need. They're constantly having to compete.
And SOCOM used to be like big back in the day.
And it would be a competitor against Call of Duty, and people want that because it's going to make Call of Duty better. Like, it's not just like, oh, well, it's just Call of Duty's going to be. It's like, no, SOCOM could come out, have an amazing story, have amazing gameplay. Dude, it would be amazing to see again.
How disappointed would you? Now, I kind of like the series, but it wouldn't be on my first. But how upset would you be if it was actually Killzone?
Like, Killzone's fine, like whatever, but I do feel like the story finished. I was thinking Resistance. Killzone's still fine, but I don't.
Okay. That brings a. Let me add that because you brought it up. What if it is Resistance?
I do feel like the story. Like I was meaning that. I feel like the story kind of wrapped up, but like I think you could do something else with it. Like I feel like you could do some cool things with that.
Okay, hear me out. Granted, yes, they've done some like serious things, and they did Bulletstorm, which was serious, but also had its wacky moments with like the wild kicks and all that kind of stuff. What if they went not maybe so much on the wacky like over the moon stuff, But if they wanted to do zany like powers and whatnot, what if they brought back Infamous?
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I think that,
because you got to imagine Sucker Punch I don't think is ever going back to Infamous as much as we all want it. I know Greg Miller
no.
would want it, but with them being like finding success with Ghost, like Yote being at an all-time like not up there with GTA 6, mind you, but it's up there in terms of like most anticipated games of this year. And you got to think after Ghost of Yote, they're going to probably toy around with a new IP. So I don't think they're ever going back to Infamous ever again. So I think what better than a secondhand studio, like, because I know Blue Point, there was rumors that they were working on an older IP or a known quantity, and now they're working on something new and yada, yada, yada. So if Blue Point's not going back to older IP, what if this one will? What if People Can Fly will do that for them?
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Because Infamous was great. Like Second Son, I feel like doesn't get the rap that it deserves because it was a solid game.
Right. But it was basically
game.
a tech demo for what the PS4 could do because it was a launch window.
Very
game.
true. Very true.
So,
but it still had some good stuff in there, like the new powers, the concrete and everything was cool. I just feel like a lot of people kind of write it off because it's, whatever. But
yeah. But the first two were solid.
Yeah, and then the New Orleans
Festival of Blood
the Festival of Blood, dude, that's so cool.
Yes.
So cool. What is this? Sorry, I'm looking at something.
Yeah.
So you didn't have this in here, but I did want to kind of bring it up. Did you see PlayStation's forming a new studio?
Yeah, no, I have it in there. Dark Outlaw Games.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I had it in there.
Okay, I just must have zoned out because I was like so calm. Dude, that's crazy too.
I know, considering that they laid off some people and all that kind of
closed.
It almost feels like kind of like a slap in the face, but I mean, kudos to them. Like it's very, especially in this age where like I know we kind of are on the downside of it now, but I still think it could. I think in an age like where there was a couple of years ago, they were hot and heavy with acquisitions, like both Sony and Microsoft left and right. And now that they've kind of blown a lot of cash, I feel like they're settling down and just letting them gestate for a little bit to get some ROI. But to have a new studio form from the ground up is a rarity nowadays. Like it's easier just to go and buy a new studio rather than just try and form a new one. But I wonder what they will being called Dark Outlaw Games. Like obviously I'm not going to look too much into the name to determine what they're going to do, but
it's kind of a dumb name.
It is, but when you have something like that, like you almost want to think, is this a proper first party studio, or will this be like a support studio? You know what I mean? Or like a port studio.
The dude that's going to be running it is Jason Blundell.
Yeah.
And he ran Treyarch back in the day. He's been and he co-founded Deviation Games.
Yeah.
But Treyarch made some of the better, in my opinion, better Call of Duty games.
Arguably, yes.
So that's his first person shooter to me.
Yeah. What if this is the one that does SOCOM?
I'm fine with that. Just bring SOCOM back. You know what I mean? just bring SOCOM back, and I feel like People Can Fly would do really good at Resistance. Or Derek, I'm gonna we go into cray cray land here.
Yeah.
Uncharted.
Oh boy.
Like they're good at like the comedy, the action, all of that.
Yeah.
Just calling it.
Oh man. Woo. The possibilities are endless, man. So okay, to not to be the turd the punch bowl here, but going back to Dark Outlaw Games, if obviously yes, there's going to be first person shooter DNA involved in whatever games they're going to work on. How would you feel if they basically just said, I know they're trying to get away from this and like try and like get back in the good graces because what they're doing is not working. What
Yeah.
if they use this as make this as like a multiplayer studio like that? Not so much like makes multiplayer games, but helps like the infrastructure of multiplayer games, like as like a like what Coalition does. Like they
Yeah.
collab with the studios and be like, all right, here's what works, here's what's working for the game, but here's what you need to fix type thing.
Like I could see it. Like there is a time and place for a workhorse kind of studio.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you look over at Activision, there are some studios that you don't see even produce games. They just work, you know, on
Right.
games with other teams and everything.
Unfortunately, Raven Studios, like
Yeah, and Toys
Toys
for
for
Bob
Bob.
was there, Vicarious Visions.
Yep.
So like it would be weird to see them do that instead of just beef up staff
Yeah.
at a place. But I do think, you know, with their push with Marathon and everything, like it could make sense.
Fair Games.
Yeah, fair games, like they're going to need help on that end. So I, I hope not, but it
Yeah.
does make sense in 2025 to have
Correct.
some team that can make that push help, you know, and with somebody with that kind of pedigree
Yeah.
that understands, like, yeah, you've got Destiny, you got people. I don't know how many people are hanging over from the Halo days at Bungie, you know,
Yeah.
but having somebody that has worked on tons of Call of Duty games,
Correct.
that packs a
And
punch, dude.
successful Call of Duty games.
Exactly. And like Destiny has been successful, but it's had a lot of missteps as well. And
Correct.
when I think about Destiny, and again, I think this is because of the player that I am, it's not the multiplayer. You know what I mean?
Nope.
It's not the multiplayer. So, you know, I think having that would be great, but I do hope that they're working on something else,
Yeah.
you know, something that is their own, because like having a good, like military-esque shooter that is Sony specific,
Yeah.
dude, it would be amazing. And if you do a really good story and then you have a solid multiplayer side of it, because again, Killzone like had multiplayer, but it wasn't that great. I don't know if Resistance had multiplayer on there. I think they did.
Yeah. I think it wasn't in the first one. I think they incorporated it in the second one.
Yeah, like Sony has struggled with multiplayer. Like they've
Right.
always struggled with their multiplayer side of things. But having that would be a huge leg up for them to actually be able to compete in
Correct.
that. And it's not pushing the live service side of stuff, you know,
Right.
it's just making a really good shooter. So there you have it, everybody. That is the Patreon quick hits. We hope that you enjoyed the show. We'll be live on Saturday, this Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time with Eat, Sleep, Anime. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be fantastic. Derek and I are going to be bringing the heat. We talking about the
Yeah.
heat.
Yeah.
We've been watching anime like it's getting banned, like it is in Texas.
Right. Oh, one
So
thing. Let me address this before Mike's like, what happened to your car? Hopefully you didn't hit any more mailboxes. No, thankfully not. That he's going back. I think it was when they lived in Tennessee. I visited him one year, and I parked my car out in the driveway, and I was backing up. No, I was parked it in their actual driveway. Was backing up. Didn't pay attention to my sensor and like sideswiped their mailbox, and it was leaning, but thankfully we got it back up straight.
Derek,
I know,
tearing
and
up the
I did,
man's mailbox.
and I did end up cracking my tail light cover, but you know the light itself didn't break, which is all that matters. But no, thankfully it was nothing like that, Mike. It was more just the car decided to have issues. Like it was the, let me see if I can say this right, the transaxle module, which is in the transmission. So it was basically making my car do a whole bunch of weird stuff. You know, lights were coming on in my car, like nothing would happen. But then all of a sudden, like I would be driving and all of a sudden it would like like the RPM would slow and then it would just go rev back up and just jump me forward. And I'm just like, all right, I need to get this looked at.
Well, I am glad that you got it fixed. Everybody,
Yeah.
we hope that you have a great rest of the evening. This has been Zach
And Derek.
Y'all have a blessed week. Bye-bye.